Once upon a time, there was a young princess who lived in a beautiful castle with her parents, the king and queen. One day, the child was playing in the forest when she found a baby bird that had lost its mother. The princess and her mother searched and searched for the nest, finally finding it, and the baby bird was returned. As they were walking back to the castle, her mother told her that she had a heart that was pure of all else, and even her heart, split in two, would make others who have lost their way in life easily find their way back. Many years later, they continued to rule over a wonderful kingdom with happy, content people. The kingdom was flourishing. But not everyone was happy and content. In one part of the kingdom, a place filled with darkness and hatred, lived the serpent sorceress of the south. She had the power to turn into a snake at will and used it on her enemies. Her hatred of the royal family was strong. One day, the king and queen were walking through their kingdom, meeting with their subjects and making sure the kingdom was doing well. Without their knowledge, the sorceress had changed herself into a serpent and slithered up from her castle in the south. She slithered up to their kingdom, and when she found them, she changed into a human once again and stole both of their hearts. Both the king and queen were so shocked of losing their hearts, they were unable to fight for their hearts back. The sorceress retreated back to her castle and put their hearts in a jeweled box, only beforehand casting a curse on their hearts, the spell of shattered souls. With this spell, the king and queen would begin to lose their goodness, becoming evil, for their souls had been changed to be bad instead of good. The spell of shattered souls created such a dismay in the kingdom. The kingdom was thriving because the king and queen were always kind, always generous, always courageous, and always fair. When the curse was cast, no longer were the king and queen kind, generous, courageous, or fair. Instead, they started to become evil, selfish, and harsh. The princess saw what was happening to her parents and knew that some spell was cast upon them. Only one person she knew could cast such an evil curse, and that person was the serpent sorceress of the south. The princess grabbed her father's sword from the armory and traveled to the sorceress's castle in the south. She snuck inside the castle, only to find the sorceress waiting for her. The princess drew her father's sword and began to fight the sorceress, but to no avail. She was struck in the arm by the sorceress's sword. Knowingly to the princess, the sword was poisonous and would soon leave her unable to save her own life. In desperate attempt to still succeed, the princess got back onto her horse and raced back to the castle. When she arrived, she was short of breath and close to dying. She rode her horse through the castle gates and immediately started looking for her parents. She found them in the throne room, fighting for control over the other. The princess started to cry when she saw her parents fighting like that, and feared she could do nothing. So the princess, in her last chance of a miracle, took her own hand and reached into her chest to pull out her heart, broke it into two, ran up to her parents, and gave them each a part of her heart. Suddenly the parents truly opened their eyes and became pure once again, for their hearts had returned. But with their daughter fallen at their feet, and without a heartbeat, her mother feared the worst that her daughter took to heart the memory of the baby bird and the forest. Her father, seeing his own sword next to his daughter, believed her to go and fight for her parents at the sorceress's castle, but must have failed. So he picks up his sword, swears his life to save his daughters, and dashes off. His wife by his side, their weapons in their hands, and the horses riding hard, they speed off to the sorceress's castle. When they arrive at the castle, they break open the door, search rooms, and find the sorceress dancing with glee at her triumph. In all of her assumed glory, she did not hear the king and queen entering her castle. The king and queen leave the sorceress in her glee and race to her dungeons, believing that is where they will find the hearts. The hearts are recovered from boxes near her potions, and they dash back up the stairs with the boxes containing the hearts. The king and queen get back on their horses and ride back to the castle as quickly as possible. Once back, they go to the throne room where their daughter lay on the floor in front of her throne. The king and queen quickly take the hearts out of their chest, put it together to make one, and put it back where it belonged. They continued to do the same with their own hearts, and soon both the king and queen were back to normal and the princess awake. Not far away in her castle, the sorceress goes to her dungeon to control the king and queen through their hearts and find them missing. Pure anger welled up inside her soul, but she knew she was defeated. Her plan foiled, she disappeared without a trace, to leave the kingdom in search of another kingdom to ruin and take over. The princess, king, and queen never heard from the serpent sorceress again. The royal family lived happily ever after.